Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Hope you liked that intro. That was using the Matchless D-30 in the Fractal FM9, which is what we're going to check out today. This was the sound that I had happening. So we're going to have a look at how I got there. Now, I haven't really spent a lot of time with the Matchless. Only recently I've started getting into it. It's mainly because every time I would pull up the amp, the stock settings just weren't exciting to me. It just was sort of dull and muddy, and I sort of overlooked it. But it's actually quite a cool amp. It's based around the Vox AC30. And yeah, so you're going to see how I come across the sound that I dialed in. Let's get into it. So this is the stock setting. This is what it sounds like. Let me pull that off. Take this off. So it's not bad, but it's just not super exciting. So here's a clear comparison from the stock sound to what I dialed in. Stock sound. This is what I dialed in. So it's a lot more clearer, a lot more accurate. You can sort of hear the stringiness and the articulation a little bit better, which is what I like. It's more open as well. So let's see how I got there. This is our stock amp. I'm just running the Dynacab 4x12 panned left and right with a dynamic mic and a ribbon mic on there as well. That's sort of what I've been using lately. I think it sounds good, nice and even and balanced. I've just got some EQ on there. We can take that off if we like. So let's get into it. I jumped straight into the ideal settings. You can see everything's completely stock. So the first thing I do with this particular amp is I bring the master down. I feel like when it's at 10, it just doesn't, I don't know, it's just too muddy. Bringing that down. Helps sort of take some of that out. We're gonna crank up the treble, bring down the mids, bring down the bass. Now, the bright cap, I like leaving it on, but let's hear what it sounds like off. Now, let's hear what it sounds like on. Now, if we increase that capacitor amount, it starts to become a little bit more brighter, maybe a little bit more aggressive. This is fully on. Has a nice quality there, I think. So let me just add some verb. The verb that I'm using is the Recording Studio A, and I've got the high cut frequency at about 3000. I think that sounds good. So that's what we got so far. Let's jump into the preamp. I'm not going to mess with anything there. Let's jump into the power amp. Now, if you'll notice, the negative feedback is on 0, and that's the stock setting. For most of the other amps that I've encountered, negative feedback can be somewhere around 3 or 4. Let's hear what that sounds like on this amp. It's really quite drastic. Let's have a listen. Now let's pull it back. So you can hear a massive difference. It's almost like the negative feedback brings out a more definition in the sound, perhaps more clarity, more of a direct kind of sound. So I like blending that in there. I actually came from a Kemper a few years ago to the Axe Effects, and the Kemper had a really good feature on there that was called the definition. Well, it was a definition knob, and it actually did the same thing as this negative feedback knob. It's quite a powerful tool to use in the amp section. So I'm happy with that. Let's move on. Let's look at the power tube section. So I don't usually mess with this section, but I feel like it's a little bit too hairy with that bias up that high. So this is what it sounds like fully maxed out. Halfway. Off. So I'm thinking about here. Sounds pretty good. I like to bring the hardness down. This is fully off. Fully on, so you can hear the difference. Let's move on. Let's look at the power supply. Now, in all of my amps that I use on the FM9, I like to change AC to DC. Nothing to do with AC DC. I just feel like every time I've recorded with it on DC, there seems to be some weird current thing that happens when I'm playing a particular sound or a particular chord. It's like an overtone thing that happens. I did some research and someone suggested turning the DC power type on. That's actually solved the issue that I had. I remember the first day that I bought the Fractal, it was kind of a shock, and I thought, oh man, I'm not going to be able to use this. But switching that over was a game changer for me. Had it have not been for that, I probably wouldn't have been able to use it, to be honest, because it was overtaking the sound. So I don't know if there's any tonal difference. It's just that undercurrent thing that happens. I have no idea how to explain it. So I just do it to every amp that I choose. I'm going to leave the power supply sag. I might turn that up. Here's with it off. Fully on. I don't think there's a massive tonal difference. I just feel like the actual feel of playing changes. I could be wrong, but I like it somewhere around here. And for everything else, I don't actually touch. So I haven't really done anything super drastic. It's just really pulling out those lower frequencies, the bass and the mids. The bright cap I've turned up. You can adjust the gain to taste. The master volume I feel like makes it's a subtle difference, but it's enough for me. And even if we pull it all the way back, you can sort of find the sweet spot with feel and sound. So let's check out some different cabs. I've pulled up here. This is my usual cab that I like to use. Let's move to something slightly different. I've just changed one side. It's now a 1960 TV. I also like this sound. It sounds pretty cool. I've got two 2x12s here now. You'll hear the tonal difference. Sort of a more, I guess, smaller sound maybe. Now, just for comparative sake, I used to use the legacy cabs. I used to think they were awesome. They are awesome. They're just a different sound. I now use Dynacabs exclusively. So let's hear the difference between the two 4x12 rumbles that I used to use in the legacy version, and then I'll go to the Dynacab. So this is the legacy version. This is the Dynacab version. So there's quite a big difference. I feel like the legacy cabs are much more sort of mid-focused potentially, whereas the Dynacabs are quite open sounding. I like the flexibility you have with it. I feel like it's just a more balanced and open sound that I'm going for. They clean up, this amp cleans up really well as well. Have a listen to this. And that's the Matchless D-30. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll put the download link in the description below. Like and subscribe, it really helps a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.